Welcome to the Divine Style Podcast with Gerlinda, Stella, personal stylist and self-love coach, and Alison, Maiden, psychic medium, spiritual healer and metaphysical teacher. Each episode you'll experience spiritual lessons to cultivate self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you.
Hi, I'm Gerlinda.
And I'm Alison.
Today we are talking about the current energies around at the moment. We've just had a super full blood moon and Mercury has gone retrograde. It can be a pretty emotional time. What have you been noticing, Alison?
I think we're in the most intense time coming up probably of this year so far. And it's certainly reflecting in the way people are feeling, and there's a lot of anger, mistrust, sometimes, extreme frustration that things aren't moving the way that people want them to move, and they're not sort of looking at the reasons why they're not moving in that direction. They're not willing to sort of take on board the fact that they need a change or make a change. So this has really been an interesting time all round. If you sit back and you're sort of watching how people are acting and you know the reasons astrologically why things are going on, it's like really fascinating stuff. So I thought it would be an interesting podcast to sort of break things down a little bit. And I'm not an astrologer, that we have the beautiful Donna Johnston that does that for us. But just from a perspective of energy and seeing how the energies are actually affecting people, and I think we should really understand why, so that we can then act upon that and hopefully make some changes which will make these transitions a bit easier for everybody.
Yeah, and use it more as a time of reflection to be able to see what is going and have that review, because I think that's it too, because we can kind of feel like it's outside of ourselves, but we do have control in these situations when we know what's going on.
Yeah, but we forget that so easily. I mean, I'm the worst culprit for that, I'll be walking around thinking, why is this happening today? And then I think, oh, yeah, Mercury's just gone into retrograde.
Mercury has gone into retrograde.
Of course, that's why.
And I did hear the fire signs are being affected greatly by this. So me as a Leo, I'm like, damn it. My car, there's lights already coming on all sorts of things.
Oh, look, but poor old Mercury gets such a bad rap. And it is a time of sometimes tumultuous energy and feeling like everything's going wrong. But for most people, it's also a time of reflection, exactly as what you said then about, well, yeah, I didn't get my car serviced, so of course there's going to be issues that will happen with it. And it just is going to come to a head in this energy, and that's it. So if we actually can go, oh, then there's a Mercury retrograde coming up next week, I think I might go and get my car serviced early.
I'm still waiting on a part. See, out of my control.
Yeah.
No, that part of it is.
Well, it's quite funny because we had an issue with one of our cars as well a few days ago, and it was like a bizarre issue, and it was just out of the blue. It happened suddenly, as these things do sometimes. And then, James said to me, oh, no, I can fix it. I'm like, I don't think so, James. This is like, it's a bad issue. He's like, no, I can fix it. And then sure enough, couple of a few adjustments and bang, he fixed it.
Wow.
So sometimes we need the younger ones to come in and remind us that energy is flux.
Yes.
And we can move it where we want to,
Very
it's
true.
pretty funny. So let's have a look at what's been happening, because we're at the end of this very interesting month. May has been probably one of the most fast-moving months of 2021. We've had so much going on. As you know, I've had lots of things going on.
Yes.
But there's been, intense changes. And for people out there that I talk to every day, and I do talk to a lot of people, the intense changes have been around them too. And for some, that's a little too much.
It has been I've found really up and down. And I know for myself, even the past few days, I've been really teary and emotional, but I am allowing that to just flow, because obviously my body knows there's something to release. And I am glad that we've done this work so I can understand that this is just part and parcel of the human condition.
Exactly. Actually, we're going to do a whole podcast on letting go. That's
Yes, we can do a whole podcast on that.
But yeah, absolutely. We need to remember that, if things are overwhelming us, that it's okay to feel that way. That it's not something that we always have to have that, keep calm and keep moving on scenario. We're allowed to have a little mini breakdown, but we're just not allowed to stay there.
Yes.
You know, we've got to sort of pick ourselves up again and go, well, this is just one day and tomorrow will be better. And definitely the way you look at things is a big part of it. So I'm being the Virgo that I am, I like to find explanations for things. I'm one of those people that have to fix everything, do you know? And always get into trouble for this because I like to fix everyone around me as well.
It's you're being helpful.
I think so. They don't always think so. And so when you were trying to fix things and it's not the right timing, it can be a bit like when you want to have, you know, fruit and it's not on the tree. It's like you can't have that fruit that particular time of year because it's just not growing. So divine timing or timing in everything is very important. And we sometimes have to realise that just because our world now is just so immediate, like, you know, you want to know something, you pick up your phone and you Google it. You know, everybody can actually have access to all this information, which is amazing. But is it the right time for action?
Well, and this is why we have seasons, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well. So I'm curious to know what's happening with the planets and where everything is and how that does affect us. So you said that you've noticed a lot of frustration and anger. Yes.
The timing of things is the most important part here. So let's have a look at what's been happening. So in this month we've had, this is a mouthful, supermoon, blood moon, total eclipse, all in one evening.
It was amazing. I got to see about 10 minutes of it because it was a bit cloudy here, but it was really spectacular to watch.
It was beautiful. We got some pretty good shots. Well, James got some great shots actually from our place. But I think the most intense part of it was, you see, quite often a full moon will be giving off energy, which is amazing energy. It's uplifting. I always find it uplifting. You know, you pop your crystals out, they're soaking up the energy, you know, all those sorts of wonderful things. But this was not that kind of moon. This was almost an opposite of that. So in this moon, we had a lot of stuff coming up for us that's deep within us. And it was in Sagittarius as well. Now, I love you Sagittarius out there. You are amazing people. You're the people that get things done. You're quite impulsive. You like getting things done in the minute. And if you feel something so passionately, you want to get it out there and make a difference and make a change. So Sag can be a very, very impulsive sort of sign. And that is been reflective in not only a supermoon, okay, which is the position of where the moon is to Earth. It appears a lot bigger than it actually is. And also the blood moon eclipse, which any eclipse is going to make things intensify incredibly. So we had 3 lots of intensifiers over this moon.
And this is why people were saying that it could be quite unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So because it's been in Sagittarius, we have this feeling of, I want to get this done right now. Okay, so there's your frustration. There's your anger that it's not happening immediately. Things that normally wouldn't bother you, things that you could just kind of go, oh yeah, that's just the way they are. You'll just want to rip that person apart because it's all of your frustration and anger that you might have at yourself or at the situation you're in. And whoever's closest to you or around you at the time, they're going to cop it.
They're in the firing line.
And that will then bring up issues between you and that person. And then that's something you have to deal with. So you've created karma there, you know. So normally if you're a very level-headed person and you don't get worried by things, even then this moon could have stirred things up in you that you're quite surprised at your own perhaps outbursts or feelings that you normally wouldn't have.
I definitely have felt a sense of urgency around things. So this makes a lot of sense to me because, you know, that having to get things done or get things checked or, yeah, wanting things done yesterday.
Yeah, it's kind of an unreasonable thing to feel.
Yes.
It's like you know full well that, hey, that person can't get that part in for me for 3 months because there's nothing there. But you are just so outraged.
Yeah, especially when I'm such a go with the flow kind of person. But it feels like, yeah, there is definitely that agitation. And so what are some ways that you would recommend moving through that? It's obviously understanding divine timing.
Yeah.
But meditation we talk about on every single podcast.
Yes. Well, it's just reflection, really. Meditation gives us time to stop and think about those things about, you know, thinking to yourself, well, that was unreasonable because they really couldn't get that part in for me. You know, that sort of thing is self-reflection time is very important for any type of change. you must know what you want to change in your life. It's something that people just go through their lives so blindly sometimes because they don't like change. They don't like the feeling around it. It's scary. You know, what's going to happen if I do that? Yet they're unhappy.
Yes, because they feel stuck.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to change. It's a bit of a vicious cycle,
It
isn't
is. It's that old catch-22, you know, where you've got to come back to that same point over and over before you start realising, well, I can stick my toe in the water without a crocodile jumping out of me and eating me, you know, because this is why I feel people don't want change, is because of that fear of the unknown, that there could be something lurking, but you know, just under the surface that is going to harm them. Whereas under normal circumstances, they probably would feel okay about taking tiny steps forward. When there's a blood moon or even a supermoon, we're going to feel intensified in that fear. So if that happens, we're then going to move to the next phase of that fear, which is defense and then attack.
Yes, and that's when you're getting angry and upset.
Correct.
And it's a big deflection.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. We are very good at keeping ourselves busy if we don't want to face something within ourselves that may be worrying us. And so rather than dealing with it up front and talking openly about it, we might go around busying ourselves doing work or housework. I was an angry houseworker in my younger years. If I got angry at something, I would just clean up.
I do the same thing. That is so funny. Yeah, I do. I get a sense of urgency to clean when I'm or go for a run. Or the other thing that I do, I've noticed as a distraction, especially in the past, would be fix other people's problems. Because if you're too busy worrying about everybody else, there's no need to reflect and look at yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's something I used to do.
Wounded healer, that we talked about that before. Yeah, Chiron is the wounded healer. That actually is a planet that moves around the place and causes people to do those sorts of things. But what I feel quite strongly about this particular moon is that it's brought a lot of things up to the surface about our current situation on this planet, about what's been happening and all the unrest that everyone's going through now. Of course, we know there's more lockdowns, there's, you know, so-called different strains coming in. I mean, I'm not going to go into the politics of any of that stuff, but it does create fear in our society. And I think people are sick of it.
Oh, I think
everyone I'm talking to, you know, I just got back from Sydney and everyone's saying the same thing. We are so sick of this, you know. They don't agree with how things have been run or what they're doing. And look, a lot of people are trying to do their best and we know that. But I think the time for change is fast approaching. And people are going to have to do what is right for them. Everyone has free will. And this is what we got to remember. If you want to go off and you know, take everyone's advice medically or whatever and get the vaccine or any of those things, that's your prerogative to do that. But if you don't want to do that, that's also okay.
Yeah.
You know? And it was quite interesting. I had a situation happen at the airport. And you know what I'm like, Gerlinda. I can't stand by and see the underdog being beaten up by bullying people. I just can't.
What did you do?
To my husband's utter dismay.
I can only imagine.
So we were standing in line ready to get on the plane, and there was these three very lovely ladies in front of me, and they were late, and they just got there, and they seemed a little disorganised. And then there was an older couple standing in front of them, and a male and a female, obviously probably together, I would say. And we older couple and myself and hubby had the mask on, as, you know, said it has to happen.
Yeah.
But these three ladies, they were milling around trying to get all their bags organised and things, and they hadn't put their mask on yet. And we were actually getting onto the plane. Now, it wasn't that they didn't want to put the mask on, or they, you know, not that that was an issue for me, because I thought, oh, well, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do.
Asthma or, you know, health conditions that they can't.
Exactly. Yep. There's always those things. But this couple absolutely ripped into them.
The passengers, the other passengers.
Yes. How dare you not wear a mask? Are you selfish? Don't you care about other people? And these three girls are looking at each other going, wow, what's going on here? And they were so shocked they couldn't speak. And these two people were coming at them with a fierce yelling, and everyone was looking. And in the end, I just stepped between them. And I said to the other people with the mask on, you do not know if these people have a medical condition, number one.
Yes.
And secondly, it is actually their choice whether or not they wear a mask, and it's their responsibility to take whatever actions come out of that. And the woman looked at me with these big glaring eyes over the top of her mask, and so, somebody's talked to me about the way that I'm acting, and she got quite red and embarrassed and backed off.
Oh, gosh.
And then the three ladies said, "Thank you so much. We've just stepped out of a very busy conference. We're aged care workers."
So they know all about it.
We've been wearing masks the whole time. You know, they're basically medical people. They put masks on straight away as soon as they were organised. And the whole picture to me was just completely blown out of proportion because of the fear of these two people who had their masks on. And to top it all off, the ladies actually then said, "And we're all vaccinated."
Yes.
Right? Which is, again, their prerogative, their choice. And I said to them, "Do you know what? This situation should never have happened, and I apologise to you for having to wear the brunt of this person's fear." And the people that did it heard that. And so anyway, that was my little story about it. But I feel that it was important to speak about. And I think it's important for all of us, particularly in an intense energy like this, when people are getting overwrought. Sometimes the fear is taking over. People aren't seeing clearly because of that fear. And it just takes one sensible person to stand up quite nicely and not aggressively and say, "Oi, this is not really fair."
Yeah, and to show some understanding and compassion. Good
Yes.
for you. That's awesome. I think it's great because people do when they're, and you could see that the other couple, they obviously were completely, almost irrationally acting out of fear because of their own concerns about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And how amazing that, you're able to step in and like healthcare workers are absolutely incredible.
On the front
what
line.
they're going through.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. So, try not to be too judgmental of other people in this fear factor because, you know, there's stories you don't know about. And I do feel that these intense energies that we are going through at the moment, particularly because of this past eclipse and things that are happening for us astrologically, people are just being triggered. It's as simple as that. So having understanding, thinking about the big picture and actually standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves for whatever reason, I think is a really good way to go. Now, there's one other thing that we need to talk about too.
Uh-oh.
Mercury.
I feel like I need music. Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, actually, yes, I see Mercury as a Jaws type figure. But
Oh, Jaws. Dun, dun,
that's the
dun.
one. Yeah. It sneaks up on me from, I don't look at the dates enough. And I am horribly, horribly triggered by these things. And so if you are a very sensitive person, you will find that, yes, you will be triggered by any of these big planetary type movements. Now, good old Mercury, I mean, it does get a bad rap, as I said. So from basically May 29th, 2 days ago, until June 22nd, we are back in retrograde, and this will be, contracts going wrong. We just bought a car and there's been like backwards and forwards with the contracts and there's been mistakes and there's been like horrendous, like it's gone in forever. I don't think it's ended yet. It's silly stuff. It's like they've put the wrong model number on or the wrong rego on, or it's just
so funny. I was in the bank this morning and this gentleman came in a fluster and he's like, "I need to talk to someone about my accounts." And he was really like worked up. So there we go.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff that's happening. And technology is big. I mean, we had it today, it's like you couldn't
Press
figure
buttons,
out
work them
what's
out.
going on here. Yeah. Normally it works, and it's the small, really annoying little stuff. So it's a matter of slowing down. What it's doing is it's getting us to stop, look, and act before we move on in action, okay? So make sure that you do everything that you need to do first, and then the silly mistakes shouldn't happen, but it's going to be worse than normal, let me tell you, because this retrograde is on the back of that supermoon.
Moon.
Yeah. So we have all of that stuff. Now, normally what the retrograde will do, and if we remember it this way, the words, R-E, retrograde.
That's right.
So we have reflect, review and renew. So it's a very good way of remembering what Mercury brings to the table in one of these retrogrades. So most of us will probably experience this. It'll go past and we'll think, what the hell was that couple of weeks about? I'm in a tiz, because it's all been upside down. But if you're aware of it, you can then do something about it. So I quite like the fact that we can review and renew. I really like those two words. And I think that it's a good time to get your stuff sorted out. If you do have anything that's outstanding, just go and do it. If you haven't spoken to a family member for a long time, do that too. The olive branch, it's time. This is a really good window to do it in because it gives us the opportunity to renew relationships that maybe have fallen apart that you want to keep. Okay, again,
that's also, yes,
your prerogative because you may not want to keep them. And it's also really good for affirmation type stuff. So getting, the renewal thing I think is so important. Now, vision boards, we've spoken about vision boards before. Renewing is about looking to the future. So, having a look at what you have in your life at the moment, being grateful for the things that are there, but also what would add to your life and make you happy? What would bring joy to you? Because life is meant to be about joy. You're meant to actually enjoy this. It shouldn't all be hard work.
Stressful and upsetting and tears. That's right.
Yeah.
So find what sparks joy.
Absolutely. And this particular energy at the moment can actually help us to focus on what we want because we know what we don't want.
Oh, exactly. That's an easy one, isn't it? Usually that's how we always start. It's like you keep getting the stuff you don't want until you realise, hang on a minute, what do I actually want? And then you bring more of that in. Also be careful what you wish for. I think we've spoken about this before as well because because you'll get it.
Yeah.
And then and that's I think comes with the free will. But when it's more guided, I think it's even more powerful because we can want all these external factors, but they don't necessarily even bring us joy. So being really conscious about the things that we're wanting to bring in and the reasons for it.
Oh, look, that's so true. And something that came to me this morning through a wonderful talk with my beautiful son, because he's so wise.
We're going to have to get him on one of these podcasts.
Oh, look, we will, definitely. But I was saying to him, I've set this goal for myself for many years and I've been working really hard at that particular goal. And I've been, I suppose in a way, focused very much on an outcome in the way that you do when you do your vision board. This is my outcome, how it gets to me, the universe will take care of. And it's finally arriving. And my goal is like right in front of me. And I should be super, super excited that this is happening. And instead I'm like, why don't I feel excited about this? And it's like, he said to me, well, maybe it's because you were thinking the goal was the thing instead of the journey.
Oh, gosh, that is so wise and so true. It is so true.
It is. And the journey I look back at my journey and I'm like, yeah, I've enjoyed every minute of this, of creating this amazing thing and seeing it when it's birthed, when it's born and it's out there. It in itself will become a creative project. And so every time I'm doing it, I'm going to be creating new things. So it's going to be amazing. But I do believe that the journey is far, far more important than the destination. And I just had to be reminded of that.
And the detachment from that outcome and the way it all came about. Because if you always knew what it was, you miss the journey. You miss the fun parts in between.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, we can set our goals. We can look at that future path as being, well, this is the outcome I want. But please don't forget, find the joy in every minute that it takes to get there and all the little steps along the way, which I've met so many amazing people and I've gained some lifelong friends out of this journey, and I'm just so very grateful for everything that's happened. And thanks, James, for reminding me about all that.
And the creation, when you think about the joyful steps, then the actual end result is also joy, because if it was stressful and upsetting getting there, then the end result can sometimes end up showing up exactly the same way. So remembering that, those steps are also can be really joyful and amazing, and the end result will be exactly the same as what you've put in. Yeah.
I think too it's worth reminding ourselves that what we think we want at a given time and what we actually end up getting is two different things.
Yeah. We always get what we need.
We do. We have this like thought about it's going to be so magical and so, fantasy. And I think, Hollywood's played a big part in that, Oh my gosh, just on that, did you see how they're actually trying to ban Snow White because of the kiss?
No. Oh, because he
they're
didn't ask permission. Oh, it's going too far.
It's going to. Just have your fantasies, guys, but make sure they're realistic.
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine? Like, my husband gives me a kiss when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I did not give you permission.
You're now banned from the bedroom.
Yeah, that's but this is part of that Mercury retrograde where people may be taking things a little bit too far. A bit too intense.
Yes,
everything.
The world needs to calm down.
Yes, and lighten up a little. It's not that serious. Nothing's
Correct.
that serious.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style Podcast. Please follow, share and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find out more and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.